A man in Colorado owns a Caterpillar 320 excavator. He paid $90,000 for it used. The machine is sitting on a job site outside Denver in 2024 with a fault on the dash. The engine runs. The C7.1 under the hood is fine, but an event code is locked into the ECM and the machine has gone into a reduced power state. He has rebuilt diesel engines for 30 years. He cannot clear the code. The only thing that clears it is a factory password, and the factory password lives inside a Caterpillar dealership. So he is standing next to $90,000 of his own iron, and he is on the phone, waiting for Cat to send a man with a laptop. That laptop is Cat Electronic Technician. It is the software that talks to the ECM on a modern Cat machine. It reads the fault codes, it changes the parameters, and on Caterpillar engines, factory passwords are only available to service technicians from an authorized Caterpillar dealership. Some events cannot be cleared from ECM memory without one. That is not a rumor from a forum. That is how the lockout works. For years, this was just how things were. You bought the yellow machine, you accepted the leash. But something is happening that Caterpillar did not plan for, and it is moving toward the construction yard one state at a time. It is called right to repair, and it is the one force Caterpillar cannot buy, cannot sue into silence, and cannot move to Texas. Here is what makes the lockout work. A modern Cat excavator is not a hydraulic machine with a diesel engine anymore. It is a computer that happens to move dirt. The ECM controls fuel, air, emissions, power. When a sensor trips, the computer writes a code and can pull the machine into a limp state to protect itself. To read that code in plain language, you need Cat ET. To clear certain codes, you need a factory password that Cat issues only through its dealer network. The man who owns the machine is not allowed the key to the machine he owns. Caterpillar will tell you this is about safety. It will tell you that letting owners into the embedded code could let someone defeat the emissions controls or re-rate the engine. There is a sliver of truth in that. There is also $90,000 of profit in it, because every code you cannot clear yourself is a dealer service call you have to pay for. If you want to watch Caterpillar keep losing ground, subscribe to Quisoup. If you are watching on your TV, find Quisoup and hit subscribe there. Now here is where the wall started to crack, and it did not start in construction at all. It started with cars. In 2020, the people of Massachusetts voted on a ballot measure called Question 1. The question was simple. Should car makers be forced to give owners and independent shops access to the data their cars generate? 75% of voters said yes. 3 out of 4. It applied to model year 2022 vehicles and up. The automakers spent a fortune fighting it and they lost in a landslide. For the first time, a state told a manufacturer that the data inside a machine belongs to the person who owns the machine. That vote did something bigger than fix cars. It proved the lockout was beatable. It told every farmer, every operator, every mechanic watching that the leash was not law of nature. It was a corporate choice, and choices can be reversed. The people who pushed Question 1 did not stop at cars. There is an organization called the Repair Association, run by a woman named Gay Gordon Byrne. Their whole job is repair-friendly legislation. Working alongside them is a repair shop owner from New York named Louis Rossmann. That reads Louis Rossmann. He started lobbying state houses back in 2015, going to Massachusetts, New York, Nebraska, Washington, Maine, Maryland, sitting in front of lawmakers explaining why independent repair is safe. These are not lawyers in suits. These are people who fix things for a living, telling the government that owners should be allowed to fix what they own. And the manufacturers noticed. Caterpillar does not fight these bills with its own name on the front. It fights through a trade group called the Association of Equipment Manufacturers, which represents both Cat and John Deere. Their argument is always the same: safety, durability, emissions, trade secrets. But the spending tells the real story. In New York alone, Caterpillar put $38,700 into lobbying on Right to Repair, a company that makes excavators spending money to keep you out of your excavator. Think about what that money is protecting. It is not protecting you. It is protecting the service bay. The next wall to fall was the one closest to Caterpillar's own yard: tractors. In 2023, the state of Colorado passed House Bill 1011, the Consumer Right to Repair Agricultural Equipment Act. Governor Jared Polis signed it on April 25, 2023. It took effect on January 1, 2024. It was the first law of its kind in the country. It forced agricultural equipment makers to hand owners and independent shops the parts, the embedded software, the tools, and the documentation needed to fix the machine. Embedded software, tools, the exact things Cat ET and the factory password lock away. Now Colorado was written for farm equipment, for tractors and combines, not for construction excavators. Caterpillar will point at that line all day. But read what the law actually targets. Embedded software. dealer-gated diagnostics, factory-locked codes. That is not a tractor problem. That is a Caterpillar 320 problem wearing different paint. The legislators drew the line at agriculture because that is where the political energy was. The mechanism they outlawed is the exact same mechanism sitting in that excavator outside Denver. Quick break before we get into what happened next. If you have been on this channel for a while watching how Cat lost segment after segment, there is a way to make sure you do not miss what is coming. Join the Operate tier for $4.99 a month. You get badges that mark you as a working professional in the comment section, custom emoji to call out the corporate decisions that killed Cat, and you get every video 24 hours before the rest of the internet. To join, open your phone and search Quizoop membership or go to the channel page and tap join. Join the operators and engineers who are paying attention. Now back to it. Here is the part Caterpillar really does not want operators connecting. John Deere watched Colorado coming. Deere is Cat's mirror image in green paint, same lockout, same dealer-gated software. So in January 2023, Deere signed a deal with the American Farm Bureau Federation. On paper, Deere agreed to give farmers access to the tools, the diagnostics, and the software to fix their own machines. It sounds like a surrender. Read the fine print, and it is something else. Deere kept the right to charge fees for that access, and in exchange, the Farm Bureau agreed to stop pushing right to repair laws. That is the corporate playbook in one move. When you cannot win the fight, sign a soft agreement that buys you peace and keeps the cash register ringing. A handshake with no real enforcement instead of a law with teeth. Deere did not open the gate. Deere put a turnstile on it and started charging tolls, and that is exactly the trap Caterpillar would love to use. A private deal beats a public law every time, because a deal can be quietly walked back and a law cannot. But here is the problem for Cat. The momentum did not stop when Deere signed its truce. In 2025, Washington State passed House Bill 1483. Governor Bob Ferguson signed it on May 21, 2025, and it took effect that July. It forced access to parts, tools, and repair information for digital electronics. And it banned a trick called parts pairing, where a manufacturer makes a part refuse to work unless the factory blesses it. Phones in 2020, cars in 2020, tractors in 2023, electronics in 2025. Every year the circle tightens, and every year the thing in the middle of that circle looks more like a Cat ECM. The legal pressure is not coming from one direction anymore. Back in March 2023, a coalition of 28 state attorneys general signed a letter backing right to repair. 28 of them. That is more than half the country's top law enforcement officers telling manufacturers the lockout is on borrowed time. There are federal bills too, the Repair Act among them. None have passed yet. But Caterpillar is not lobbying against bills that are going nowhere. It spends money because it knows where this is heading. So picture the board in Caterpillar's headquarters. And remember where that headquarters sits now. Cat left Peoria, Illinois after more than 90 years. It moved to Deerfield, Illinois in 2017. Then in 2022, it announced it was leaving Illinois entirely for Irving, Texas. The same instinct that locks the operator out of his own machine is the instinct that pulls the headquarters out of the town that built the company. Keep the value at the top. Leave the man on the job site holding a code he is not allowed to clear. That man is the whole story. He is 58. He has owned Cat Iron his entire working life. He can pull a C7.1 apart and put it back together blindfolded. And he is standing in the dirt, watching a fault code he is not permitted to erase, waiting on a dealer technician whose laptop holds a password that should have come with the machine. He is not angry at the steel. He is angry at the company that decided the steel was theirs to control after he paid for it. For decades, that anger had nowhere to go. Now it has a name and a set of laws behind it. The Repair Association, Lewis Rossman. Question 1. Colorado House Bill 1011. Washington House Bill 1483. 28 Attorneys General. Every one of them is a crack-in-the-wall Caterpillar built around its service revenue. Here is what splits the room, and I want a real answer from the operators watching. If a right to repair law finally reaches construction equipment, would you actually trust an owner to clear his own engine codes, knowing some of them protect the emissions system? Or does Caterpillar have a point that the factory password is the last thing standing between a working machine and a deleted emissions machine, running dirty on a job site? Where is the line between your right to fix your own iron and the temptation to defeat the controls on it? Tell me in the comments. Because that is the fight Caterpillar is really running. Not safety, control. The factory password is not protecting the public. It is protecting a business model where the most profitable part of a $90,000 machine is the part you are not allowed to touch. The wall has not fallen on construction yet. Excavators and dozers are still inside the dealer's fence, while cars and tractors and phones have walked out. But every law that passes, every state that flips, every attorney general that signs moves the line 1 yard closer to the Cat 320 sitting outside Denver. Caterpillar can keep the password. It cannot keep the law away forever. And the company that built its fortune on machines it sold to working men is discovering that working men have finally found a way to demand the keys. One more thing before you go. If you really want to be part of the inner circle on this channel, join the site Formforman for $9.99 a month. You get a public shout out in upcoming videos, your name, your operation, your story, validated in front of the entire QuiSoup audience. Plus everything from the operator tier. To join, open your phone and search QuiSoup membership or go to the channel page and tap join. And remember, every operator who switched to Liebherr or Volvo a decade ago saw this coming long before the boardroom in Irving, Texas admitted it. See you in the next one.